And those performances are so wonderful that you don't want to try to recreate anything because there's the fear of failing miserably. But also it's 64 years before the original films take place, the original books. And Francis Lawrence, who directed Catching Fire and both Mockingjay films, and Nina, who produced all of the Hunger Games content, they didn't put any pressure on us to try to recreate anything.
And yet they recreate everything. That's the irony at the heart of the entertainment industry's latest and most explosive controversy. Disney's live-action Snow White remake has become a storm of backlash. And at the center of it all is Rachel Zegler's unexpected commentary. What started as another attempt to modernize a beloved classic has spiraled into a crisis that's sending shockwaves through Hollywood. The stakes for Disney couldn't be higher, and no one could have predicted how a cherished fairy tale would transform into the focal point of a cultural debate dividing audiences across the globe. The drama began when Rachel Zegler, cast as the iconic Snow White, started giving interviews about her role in the highly anticipated film. What should have been routine promotional efforts quickly morphed into viral moments that sent Disney executives scrambling to manage the fallout.
The board was making a decision to make a change at the CEO level at Disney, and that they might ask me to step back.
And you say to her?
And I said to Willow, I'm getting this call. It's possible that I could get asked back.
In one particularly contentious interview, Zegler dropped a revelation that ignited a frenzy among fans. "It's really not about the love story at all," she revealed, hinting that the prince's scenes might not even appear in the final film. "All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby," she quipped with a nonchalance that would later come back to haunt both her and Disney. But this was just the beginning. As more interviews surfaced, a troubling pattern emerged that left longtime Disney enthusiasts concerned. Zegler's portrayal of the character appeared to diverge starkly from the beloved qualities of the original Snow White. In numerous appearances, she seemed to distance herself from the classic tale, fueling criticism and further complicating Disney's efforts to preserve the film's legacy. Often suggesting that the classic tale required a complete reimagining for modern audiences, Rachel Zegler's comments might have been manageable in isolation. However, when coupled with leaked details about significant changes to the film's source material, they ignited a perfect storm of controversy. The backlash snowballed into an even larger debacle when South Park, the satirical juggernaut known for skewering cultural issues, decided to weigh in on the debate. In a characteristically bold move, South Park didn't merely reference the controversy, it plunged headfirst into it with an episode titled Into the Pand. The show reimagined its familiar characters in ways that hilariously paralleled Disney's recent casting choices. The result was a scathing critique that left no doubt about the creator's disapproval of Hollywood's current trend of reimagining classics. Behind the scenes, Disney executives were reportedly scrambling. Sources revealed that emergency meetings were held to address the growing backlash. The South Park episode struck a nerve not only with audiences, but also within the entertainment industry itself. What made it particularly impactful was how the episode encapsulated frustrations that many fans had been feeling but struggling to articulate. Adding to the turmoil, attention turned to the reported changes being made to the Snow White narrative. The iconic seven dwarfs, integral to the original story, were being entirely reimagined. Meanwhile, the prince, a pivotal figure in the classic tale, was rumored to be cut from the storyline altogether. This only deepened the divide between Disney and its longtime fans, further complicating the studio's efforts to manage the fallout. Even the core romance, which had inspired generations of audiences, was being fundamentally altered. These weren't just minor updates to make the story more relevant for modern audiences, they represented a complete overhaul of what made Snow White recognizable. Industry insiders, many speaking anonymously, began voicing concerns about the implications of Disney's approach. One veteran producer remarked, "When you're dealing with beloved properties like Snow White, there's a fine line between updating for modern audiences and completely disregarding what made the original special." This sentiment echoed across Hollywood, with some questioning whether Disney had finally gone too far in reimagining its classics. The backlash reached a boiling point as social media users compiled clips from Rachel Zegler's interviews.
She was like, "Jacqueline, if they play Getaway Car or Maroon, she's on crisis watch." Not only did she play Getaway Car, she also played Maroon. I was having a mental breakdown in the audience at MetLife Stadium.
The emerging narrative painted Zegler as dismissive of the very property she was chosen to represent. In one particularly controversial moment, Zegler seemed to suggest that the original Snow White story wasn't worth preserving in its traditional form. For many fans, this came across as especially tone-deaf, given her role as the iconic character. The stark contrast between Zegler's approach and that of other Disney princess actresses, like Emma Watson or Lily James, didn't go unnoticed. While Watson and James managed to discuss modernizing their roles while showing deep respect for the original stories, Zegler's remarks appeared to outright dismiss the value of the classic tale. Fans began sharing comparison videos, highlighting the disparity between Zegler and her predecessors. This only fueled the controversy, amplifying criticism that Zegler's approach lacked the reverence expected of someone stepping into such a cherished role. South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker didn't stop at a single episode addressing the controversy. Their critique evolved into a broader commentary on Hollywood's approach to representation and storytelling. The episode, Into the Pand, became an instant classic, praised not only for its humor, but for its sharp critique of the deeper implications of Disney's creative decisions. By transforming familiar South Park characters into exaggerated, gender-swapped, and race-swapped versions of themselves, the show highlighted the absurdity of certain Hollywood practices, while making a thoughtful point about authentic representation versus tokenism. The episode resonated deeply with audiences, articulating frustrations many fans and insiders had struggled to express. Reports soon surfaced that Disney executives were scrambling to respond to the fallout, even attempting to reach out to Comedy Central to mitigate the impact of South Park's biting critique. Hoping to prevent further fallout, Disney attempted behind-the-scenes maneuvers to address the mounting criticism. Reports of the company scrambling to mitigate potential future damage only fueled social media debates around corporate influence and artistic freedom.
And my advice to them was to not hear the noise as much, to continue doing the job that we've entrusted them to do.
Right.
Which is to tell the truth, to state the facts, to present the news in an accurate and a fair and in a timely basis.
One insider remarked, "Disney has never been more vulnerable to criticism, and South Park hit them where it hurts." Leaked production details further stoked the controversy. These changes to Snow White went far beyond surface-level updates. They represented a complete overhaul of the story's core, leaving many questioning whether it could even be called Snow White anymore. Traditional elements that had defined the fairy tale for generations were being replaced with what critics referred to as modern messaging that seemed disconnected from the heart and soul of the original. Rachel Zegler continued to make media appearances, doubling down on her controversial stance. "We're not doing the fairy tale that everyone thinks they know," she stated in one interview. While some commended her candor, others saw her remarks as further evidence of Hollywood's disconnect with audiences. Social media comparisons to other actresses who had respectfully modernized iconic roles, like Emma Watson's Belle or Lily James' Cinderella, highlighted the growing disparity in approach. This controversy also unveiled broader issues for Disney. Industry analysts pointed out that the Snow White drama wasn't an isolated incident, but part of a larger trend within Disney's live-action remakes.
Is not designed right now to necessarily develop great leaders or to encourage more people to seek public office. It just is far more difficult. Now, I've never been in it, but from what I observe, it's far more difficult to run for office today than ever before.
Emergency focus groups revealed concerning feedback, prompting Disney executives to reassess their strategy. One insider admitted, "There's a growing realization that we may have misjudged what audiences actually want from these reimaginings." The reimagining of the Seven Dwarfs added another layer of contention. In place of the original beloved characters, the remake opted for magical creatures from diverse backgrounds. While some praised this as progressive, others argued it stripped away another fundamental element of the story's identity. This decision reignited debates about representation versus authenticity in storytelling. South Park expanded its critique beyond Snow White, taking aim at Hollywood's broader approach to updating classics. Through its signature satire, the show highlighted how these changes often seemed more focused on meeting quotas than crafting compelling narratives. The episode became a rallying cry for fans and insiders frustrated with what they perceived as Hollywood losing its way in modernizing beloved tales. The controversy's ripple effects extended beyond Snow White. Reports emerged of other Disney projects being reevaluated, with scripts rewritten and marketing strategies reconsidered in light of the backlash. Veteran filmmakers expressed their concerns, often anonymously, about the industry's current trajectory. One remarked, "There's a fine line between updating a story for modern audiences and dismantling what made it special in the first place." The financial stakes couldn't be ignored either. Market analysts noted Disney's stock price appeared increasingly sensitive to news about its creative decisions, raising questions about whether the studio's live-action remake strategy remained viable in the long term. What began as a cultural debate had transformed into a serious business concern, with social media fan communities that once supported the project now voicing doubts about its direction. This controversy exposed deep divisions in Hollywood while raising critical questions about the balance between innovation, respect for the original material, and audience expectations. The controversy surrounding Disney's Snow White remake reached new heights as critics began questioning whether the adaptation even resembled the beloved original. Industry veterans drew parallels to other failed attempts at modernizing classics, with one former studio executive noting, "When you lose the essence of what made the original story resonate, you're no longer updating it. You're just using a familiar name for an entirely different tale."
What was it like seeing yourself for the first time in full Snow White drag?
I love that description. It's perfect. Oh my God, well, when you get to wear Sandy Powell, first of all, insane. And then you get to be lit by Mandy Walker.
Adding to the debate, South Park delivered a sharp critique of Disney's corporate decision-making process. The episode portrayed executives frantically trying to cater to every demographic while sacrificing basic storytelling principles. This satire struck a chord with audiences who felt Disney's recent remakes prioritized messaging over narrative coherence. Behind the scenes, tensions mounted. Test screenings reportedly revealed significant concerns, prompting discussions about potential reshoots. One insider commented, "There's a real disconnect between Disney's vision and how audiences are reacting. The question now is whether it's too late to course correct." Internal conflicts during production further complicated matters. Creative disagreements over how far to push the modernization reportedly divided the team, with some advocating for retaining core elements of the original story and others pushing for a complete reinvention. These tensions were mirrored in the public's polarized reaction. Industry analysts saw Snow White as a litmus test for Disney's live-action remake strategy. While earlier successes like Beauty and the Beast and The Jungle Book balanced nostalgia with updates, more radical reimaginings had struggled to connect with audiences, resulting in diminishing returns. South Park's episode proved particularly impactful by critiquing Disney's approach in a way that was both humorous and unsettlingly accurate. By applying the remake logic to its own characters, the show held up a mirror to the entertainment industry's flawed methods of updating classics. Comparisons between Rachel Zegler's portrayal and how other actresses approached iconic roles added fuel to the fire. Video compilations highlighted stark differences, with Zegler's comments perceived by some as dismissive of the original story, in contrast to other performers who balanced modernization with respect for the source material. Rachel Zegler's approach to Snow White has sparked a debate over modernizing classics, with her comments being viewed as dismissive of the original story. Focus groups indicate audiences welcome updates, but resist fundamental changes to beloved characters and narratives.
I did. It was so fun. Oh my God, as a huge Disney fan, it was so exciting to finally get to go to D23. Yeah. I live on the East Coast, so I was never able to go, and also tickets sell out like in a flash. So it was so exciting to go, and my mom was super jealous because my mom is the reason I'm a Disney fan.
Disney faces significant stakes as the controversy extends beyond Snow White, prompting questions about the studio's remake strategy. Financial analysts and industry insiders alike are reevaluating the long-term viability of transforming classics. Meanwhile, South Park's sharp satire highlights frustrations with Disney's recent creative decisions, making this controversy a defining moment for the entertainment industry. As the Snow White remake nears release, the question remains, can Hollywood update beloved tales without losing their essence? This pivotal moment may reshape how studios handle classics moving forward. The entertainment world watches closely, with no resolution in sight. Will Disney and Rachel Zegler win over audiences, or is this a cautionary tale in the making? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping Hollywood's biggest stars. Until next time, stay tuned, we're just getting started.